You didn't say yes to that one. So I've noticed something. Have you noticed something since our last episode?
The apocalypse didn't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we look like big old assholes.
We sure do, man. How did we get that wrong? I don't know.
And for so many years, like
Yeah,
that's a lot of work.
right.
I
But I
mean,
mean, if we look bad, the hat looks even worse because this was the
yeah, yeah,
hat's
yeah,
thing
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
time, right?
But as is usually the thing, I don't talk. So not getting a lot of feedback as to where we go from here.
Right. Hey, do you think it's one of those things where the hat was just kind of part of it and there was something going on in some other part of the world and some like supernatural investigator sort of caught on and killed a whole bunch of cultists and everything and stopped the whole thing and we just don't know about it because we're kind of a peripheral part of the plan anyway?
Now that you mention it,
Yeah. Wonder if that happened.
it does seem like that's probably what it is.
Yeah, like we weren't wrong technically. We just
No,
weren't.
we we especially didn't do anything wrong. We did.
No, we did our
Yeah,
part.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
We did
yeah,
our
yeah, yeah.
part. But the some other group that was part of it, like maybe who were like the, head of the spear kind of thing, they got attacked or they got found out.
Something somebody they need to look into that
Yeah,
and what
someone
happened
higher up
there.
the food chain than us.
Yeah.
We're just
So
doing our little bit.
should we just keep doing podcast? I mean, I don't know what else we pivot to at
I
this
mean,
point.
I suppose there's no reason. I mean,
Just realizing how little I'm qualified for
yeah,
at
we're
this point.
this is above our pay grade why this happened, really. It's not our fault.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
We just need to keep plugging away and, some other person will replace high priestess or whoever got,
They'll probably reach
you know,
out to us
yeah,
next
probably.
time.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
don't
we
need to
have a
worry about that.
proven track record now for
Right.
this.
Yeah, we've done our bit. I don't think they can fault us
Yeah,
for we've been
yeah.
loyal, we've been hardworking. Well, you know, so I think we're all right. Um,
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Magical Talking Hat Podcast, the only podcast that is just kidding. Is we didn't really. There's no apocalypse. Who would even? If they would, they could reach out to us, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. But who would? That's not a thing. That's just in the movies.
yeah. Just forget all the stuff we just said. Just ignore it.
Uh, I'm Tony.
I'm William, and this is episode so disappointing.
667, which is of no significance. Of no
No,
significance.
I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah, right. It's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
667.
yeah.
Doesn't matter.
It's just what
667.
we have. It's
We don't
that's how
care.
numbers work.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's normal. It's fine.
yeah. So for those of you just joining us, well, oh yeah, we have a hat. It's magical in that it has its own email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. People email that, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com with whatever. Notes, comments, topics, questions, contact information about your world ending organization. Sort of whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And the hat magically forwards us the emails and we read them on the air unless specifically instructed in those emails that under pain of death we should not.
Mm.
Then obviously we would have some discretion. But yeah, we read about them, talk about them, do that whole thing. That's the show. And we have just finished our primary holiday season. How was
Mm-hmm.
your primary holiday season?
Good. Good. We had people over. It was nice. And so this is our last podcast of
This
2023,
is
isn't it?
our last podcast of 2023.
Yeah. So how was your week?
Um, I mean, I had one of those classic Christmas time adventures, you
Oh,
know?
well,
Yeah.
tell us all about it.
I mean, it's pretty standard, I mean, it was, rec center about to be closed just before Christmas. A magician's hat. I did not ever get close enough to see who was playing the villain, but I mean, lot of fetch quests for different wacky characters, and then I don't remember at the end it was very involved, but I think uh the real meaning of Christmas was inside me the whole I
Oh,
think that was inside me the whole time.
well, that's surprising.
Um so then the curse was lifted, and yeah, we had a pizza party.
Yeah, same, same.
Um I ate a lot of cookies, and I don't know what it is, but I'm not proud of them like I am the number of pieces of pie I ate. I feel shame about the number of cookies I ate. It was a lot of
Oh,
cookies, and we
oh,
brought a lot of them home, so there's a lot more
hmm.
cookies.
I didn't
We
really have any
actually,
cookies, I don't think.
the households that live in town didn't want any leftovers, so we came home with so much leftovers,
Mm,
including a lot of pie.
mm.
Jesus, happy birthday Jesus cake this year was happy birthday Jesus pie,
Really?
which is nice, but it means we didn't cut into them till Christmas Day.
Oh.
So I've had one piece of each, but we got sent home most of the pies. So
Do you think Jesus prefers pie or cake?
one year my mother-in-law said that Jesus had told her that he wanted chocolate that year, which for her is remarkably blasphemous. Like that's like for her that was a big one. I don't know if she'd been drinking or what, but it was up there.
Hmm.
But other than that, I don't know. It is much easier to get Jesus pie because the cakes were always from a very specific, very busy bakery.
Oh.
Um, so I think that may have been some of it, but I don't know. We this year we did very laid back. Like we didn't have any actual meals.
Mm.
We just had stuff, and you ate it when you wanted, and it was way more chill, and that was pretty nice.
That does sound nice.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for New Year's? You used to have a regular game thing you did
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
I'm doing bupkis for New Year's.
Oh.
The only thing I'm doing is it falls on a Sunday night, which is when we have dinner with the neighbors. So
Oh.
I think we're gonna turn it into like we're gonna do like hors d'oeuvres and Trader Joe's frozen things or whatever. Things you would do at a New Year's party. We're gonna have that be our meal. But
Oh,
it'll still
nice.
be like at dinner time, like because we're all old and tired.
Are you
Except the kids, and they'll just like to stay up late.
so you're doing an RPG thing though with your sister-in-law, right? Still,
Yes. Yes.
but you're not doing any of it during the holidays necessarily.
Um, not anything especially. We will probably uh part the producers over here sneezing. So if any of that's getting picked up on the mic, I apologize. Scaring the cats real bad for some reason. Um, we we aren't scheduling anything out of the ordinary. Our actual next session falls on New Year's Day,
Mm.
but we'll still probably be the normal time because one of our number works at Disney World, and so holidays are not respected as time off for workers necessarily.
What do they do at
So,
Disney World?
I don't know they have a specific thing. My point is she won't have the day off. She'll be
I know,
working.
but I'm just curious. Like
I
they
don't know
just
if they have a specific
oh,
Disney
oh,
World
okay.
thing. We haven't discussed it.
So are you the D&D thing so far, or have you just had one character the whole time or have you guys started
So far,
over?
yes, yes. Things are just starting to get interesting with our characters. Some of our old backstory is coming into place, or at least one of them.
Nice.
Um, I'm
How do
still
you
playing everybody's mom, so
Do you like your character? Is it fun to play?
I
Or
do. She's very fun. Her official catchphrase at this point is, "Do you have children?" Um, she
nice.
likes to
That's
explain
awesome.
everything through motherhood,
Yeah.
and so although this last one she did actually get drink more than she's normally want to drink, uh, and didn't think about it because she's a brew mistress, so she used to drink a ton of beer, but she's been on the road and she hasn't been, so she got kind of drunk. And she said a variety of interesting things. The favorite was asking one of her compatriots, "Does your parents ever have children?" So,
That's a good one.
but yeah,
Well,
it's
what?
going pretty well. We're up
Tell
to
me more
level
about her.
four.
Is she like a what is she like an elf or a human or an orc or something? What is
She's a
she?
half. I've talked about her before on here. She is
Yeah,
a
and I
halfling.
don't remember.
She's an 85-year-old halfling woman. And she married brewer in their little village of Ashentop, and they produced a pretty
Okay,
good
I'm
label
remembering that.
of beer. And she had her kids, and she raised her kids, and her kids went off to start their own families, and she realized her husband was kind of annoying. And then one day in the woods, she met up with an ambassador of Titania, the queen of the fairies, and made her a warlock, and she went off to seek adventure.
So a half in D&D, a halfling is like not like in the Tolkien stuff. Like a halfling's
No,
like
it
its own
is.
thing.
Halfling is the word they use because Hobbit is technically trademarked or copyrighted
Oh,
by
oh.
Tolkien. Yeah.
So it's a kind of
Halfling's just a hobbit, yeah.
yeah, okay.
Littler than a dwarf and a gnome. They're the little ones. I believe my character is 2 foot 10 inches tall.
Oh. And
Yes.
the culture is similar where they're sort of agricultural and pastoral and like you said, they brew ale and
Yeah,
they
I think so. I mean, like my family makes beer, but
okay, cool.
although I am now also officially a chef, I took a feat called chef because I very quickly fell into the one who was cooking for everyone.
Oh,
And so now it's a real thing where I can give benefits with the food I cook and stuff.
I remember some of that. Yeah, you discussing some of that stuff. I just couldn't remember. Well, sounds like a
Yeah,
fun time.
it's a fun time. It's a very silly game, so we don't necessarily move very quickly, but we have a good time with it.
Well, how many people are playing?
There's 3 players, and then my sister-in-law is the GM. So it's me and a human monk, played by Trish, and originally a human fighter, but that was apparently just a temporary character until that human fighter's pet bird turned out to be an elven druid that had been trapped as a bird for many years, and that was actually the character of the third player. So
Wow, that's a twist.
yeah, it confused us all a little bit, but we got there.
So in Diablo, if you pick the druid class, it's first of all the body type of the druids is very similar to the barbarians, sort of large
Okay.
and muscular and whatever. And the way the character plays, it's very much like a cleric, where they're kind of they're very much close fighting style and whatever, but they have some magic. That's what the druid's like in Diablo. I was a little surprised by that, but Abby's playing a druid, and it's very much like a cleric class in other games. I thought that was interesting.
It's really variable how people play around with druids
Yeah,
specifically.
sometimes they're
And
very
I
just wizards or whatever, but
yeah,
sometimes they're different.
well, and in D&D they've got some options. I think of them as a healing class. Uh
Mm.
Beth in our game is very clearly playing it because she likes to turn into animals and beat the crap out of stuff. She is sort of becoming our tank, which is bad because she's also the closest thing we have to a healer. So it's not a great combination.
Well, and
But
in Diablo, one of your biggest things is being able to change into a wolf or a bear or something. That's a
yeah.
and
She can
that
change into a bunch of stuff.
and that's what when you mention a tank or whatever, that Abby's the tank in our. There's two of us, but she definitely she definitely makes a lot of use out of the close contact, turning into a bear and killing everything within arm's reach. I mean, but at the
That's
same
what
time,
I
that's
do
magic.
just
So
in my real life.
it's fun. We like playing it together. Couch co-op is always fun, but this game is actually really fun to play. Couch co-op. So
Nice.
yeah, we've been really enjoying that. And mostly
Good.
that's mostly what we've been doing for her week off, which started just on, set up end of Friday.
And the kids came to visit,
Right.
you
The
said?
the kids and the grandkids were here right on Christmas Day, which it seems like the when they've come before it was some other day besides Christmas Day because they were with his family or something. But this year they did go to his family's house for a little bit for brunch or something, and then they came here.
Yeah, ours was a little different because one chunk of our family goes to the other side's family on Christmas Eve day. They tend to do their thing. But this year, because of where it fell, they did it on Saturday. And so we didn't see them at all Saturday. But then Sunday, which was Christmas Eve day, we actually did see them. But we kept thinking we weren't. We're like, no, because they do their thing. Yeah, but they did it before us.
Yeah, we did something back home on in Des Moines, on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then Sunday we were just here and we watched like Christmas movies and stuff by ourselves, and then the kids were over on 25th. Yeah.
We didn't
But
watch
then
a lot of Christmas movies, although I slept through some of them. I came downstairs just in time. My mother-in-law was like, "You just missed the end of that." But mostly, not a lot of Christmas movies or a lot of Blue Bloods. A lot of football
oh,
and mostly a lot of football, I think.
do you like any Christmas movies at all or
That is a really good question. It probably depends on your definition of the Christmas movie. But overall, no. I would say no. I have ones that I traditionally watched. My family as a whole still really likes Love Actually.
Hmm.
Um, I do not any longer. Because I actually sat down and thought about the plot of it and it's horrifying. But
I've never even seen it, I don't think.
I grew up with my favorite was always the Albert Finney, the musical version of Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, yeah.
Which I also found one of the scariest versions. Most Scrooges for me were always about who has the scariest ghost of Christmas future, because that was
Oh,
always the scary one.
sure, sure.
And the Albert Finney one is pretty scary. Um, no, I mean when I was a kid, I would go to the theater to see him.
Hmm.
I remember Santa Claus, the movie that had Dudley Moore and John Lithgow in it from like the early 90s. I went to the theater and saw
Oh.
that. It's not very good, but I enjoyed it at the time.
I watch It's a Wonderful Life, of course, and I
Oh
watch
yeah,
Miracle on 34th
because then you
Street.
don't have to pay any royalties. It's public domain. Yeah.
I don't. I watch Miracle on 34th Street, the old one, the black and
The
white
old okay,
version.
because I was gonna say my sister, my wife feels very strongly about the old one, not the remake.
Yeah, I liked it. It's got to be the old one, and it can't be colorized. I don't like that colorized stuff.
Mm.
But yeah, I watch that one on Christmas Eve every year because we watched on Christmas Eve every year when I was growing up, and I do love it. Every year I see it, I'm just delighted by it. And It's a Wonderful Life. I like to watch on the 21st. And I just love that one, as everybody knows. But I'll watch the Charlie Brown thing and some of the stuff I watched as a kid because there's a lot of nostalgia there. I like Year Without a Santa Claus, and I mostly I was not a huge fan of Rudolph when I was a kid, but my mom loved it, and so I think it's a little bit for her that I watched that one. But I mean I like it all right. But Year Without a Santa Claus was my favorite Rankin and Bass thing when I was growing up. So I watched that, and I watch Charlie Brown because we always watch that. It's just I don't know. It just makes it feel like Christmas to watch those things sometime during December for me.
I, by sheer coincidence, was searching for something, and like sometimes the search functions get excited and they try and come up with something quick, and it gave me Life and Times of Santa Claus. which is the one where he was raised by lions, and it's the all the pagan creatures
Yeah,
bestowing upon him the mantle of immortality.
that's the one based on what what's his name who wrote the Wizard of Oz. He wrote
Oh,
a
Frank
story.
Baum?
Yeah, he wrote a
Yeah.
story, and then that Rankin and Bass one is based on that, and then they made a whole different one. That
Yeah, well, I mean, they've made a ton of them, but yeah.
yeah, on the
Uh,
origin of Santa Claus. I mean,
but
I don't
that
remember.
one I always liked in particular, just in general, because it had lots of cool side characters that were very fantasy based, and I was into that.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got older, and I'm like, holy shit, this is extremely not Christian. And then I was into it for other reasons. Uh, but I did think about watching that
I
one.
don't know if you'd like his story that he wrote or not, because his writing isn't great. So I don't know if
Mm.
I mean I've read I read all of the Oz stuff he wrote because I was interested in like the cultural impact of it, and I was interested in like what he was trying to do. And I still find it interesting and like it, but I can admit that it's not very well written. So I don't know if you read the original, book that animated thing was based on. I don't know if you'd like it because he
I
just doesn't
don't
write
know.
very well.
I've never read any of his original stuff, so
Hmm.
I saw a couple movies about it, but that's about it.
He had an interesting approach. Like in some of his books, he really tried to figure out magic as a system, which I know a lot of fiction writers do. But I was
Yeah,
surprised
yeah,
he did that because he was writing for kids and it was supposed to be a fairy tale, and fairy tale writers, even very good ones, typically don't bother with that. They know they don't need to. Actually, they probably think if they do that, it'll take something away from it, right? Some of the mystery, or
yeah.
whatever. But in some of his books, he tried to make a little sense. Like if someone like in one, if a witch cast a spell, he did like a lot of people do. It's like, well, that someone else cast that spell. I can't undo it. But what he did was, I can't directly undo it. I might, if I study it, be able to find little loopholes and things to sort of get around it. And like he would write a character figuring out, well, I can't undo this, but the spell allows me to do this. And then if I do that, and then this, and then this, and then this, then I can get around to basically undoing it. I thought, well, that's really
Just
interesting.
logic puzzles.
Yeah,
No,
that's
and there
exactly
was
right. I thought that was really interesting and cool.
there was one, I don't remember if it was a novella or a short story or even a very small novel, but he had that one that they eventually made into Ant-Man. Not a lot of people know Ant-Man is based off of Frank Baum
Come on, are you?
talking about shrinking the spaces between atoms. Yeah.
Well, it could happen.
Something came up again recently. Well, maybe all the Wonka stuff. I don't like Roald Dahl. I find his stuff very unsettling, and I've
Hmm.
never enjoyed any of it. I just need to say that because everybody gets so excited and everybody's super excited about Wonka. William won't stop with all of his Wonka fever. Um, he starts calling everything around his house different Wonka themed names, the Wonka Vader and the Wonka Mobile. He's very excited. I mean, he was already excited because he loves Timothy Chalamet, but
Oh
now,
yeah, sure.
old Tim Chow, as he calls him, um,
We're close.
as
Me,
Tim Chow as the Wonks himself. Again,
yeah.
all of these Williams
Me and
works.
Timmy, me and Timmy go way back.
But I just well, there's a thing. There's a movie on Netflix called the Fascinating Times of Henry Sugar or something like that, and it's a Wes Anderson. And I was like, what the hell? And so we're like, we should watch it, but we never got around to it. And the other day I was looking through stuff and it came up again. It's only 39 minutes long. It's not an actual movie,
Hmm.
but it has like Benedict Cumberbatch and Dev Patel and a lot of Wes Anderson people. And it turns out it's based off of a Roald Dahl short story. And I'm like, oh, then I'm probably not gonna enjoy it. But I think it wasn't one for kids at least. So there is that. But We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of his either, but I liked I liked the original. I like Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka, and in general, um, I think I like that whole idea. But we had the book, and Abby and the kids liked the book. I didn't like it so much. I realized that I really just liked the adaptation that with Gene Wilder in it, and then when they made it with Johnny Depp, um, I kind of liked it too. I didn't like it as much as the original, but I thought it was creative and interesting. So I'm a little interested in seeing this
You
one,
have
but I'll probably
always
wait.
enjoyed instilling fear in children. So I
No,
mean, it
well,
tracks. Because I don't even like the Gene Wilder one, because sometimes he's very scary
hmm.
in a way I don't like. I never even saw the Johnny Depp one. From jump. I knew that was nothing I ever wanted to be a part of, and history has borne me out. Um,
I haven't seen it in a long time.
you're the only person who liked it, including
I
Tim
did like
Burton
it.
and Johnny Depp.
I
Um,
thought it was pretty funny, but
but I don't like uh, unsettling children's stories.
so
Scary can be okay, but that unsettling vibe.
so like something like a series of unfortunate events. How do you feel
Oh
about that?
no, just on its face, I can't stand that. I never watched any of the media. I never read the books. I did go on Wikipedia eventually, but just no, I've never. And maybe
So
it's
there,
realistic, but I just didn't ever want. Yeah, here's some characters who want to destroy you and ruin you and do terrible things. Isn't it funny?
yeah, and
But
people
if
actually die.
you are brave and true and smart, you'll get them first, which is always the thing in children. It's always revenge. It's not just avoiding the machinations of the evil. It's something terrible then has to happen to the bad person.
But there is a market for this sort of dark. I mean, among the kids are
Huge
consuming
market.
it, not just.
Huge market.
So, what do you think that is? Why are some kids kind of fascinated by truly dark themes? Not, I mean, really
Probably
dark.
the same reason that I, as an adult, am fascinated with certain subsections of very dark themes.
Hmm.
Um, and it's about different things. And I think that's what it comes down to. That's probably what we're seeing here. Um, despite the whimsy involved in everything, Roald Dahl stuff is about people, many of whom are just bad. And there's not a fan. It's not because they were possessed by an evil gem or some shit. It's just because they're bad.
Yeah.
And Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka has some things. His heart's in the right place for some things, but he's also just kind of a shit who intentionally traumatizes a bunch of children. Um,
Do you think do you think it's similar or even just the same as kids who enjoy like Warner Brothers cartoons that were made for adults to watch in the theater and have lots of violence and are kind of dark sometimes, but a lot of kids really enjoy watching that. Is it the same or similar, or is it a very different thing?
Anybody who's ever enjoyed a Looney Tunes cartoon before age 18 is clearly a sociopath. I don't.
Oh, guilty
I
as charged,
even
I
think,
guess.
I mean, you're the therapist in training, but I think that's a matter of public record. I don't even know why you're bringing this up. If
Did you
you
not like
enjoyed a
Warner Bros?
single Looney Tunes cartoon as a child, you are messed up. You are not okay.
You didn't enjoy them?
I was like, I'm confused. I have the innocence of a child. Um, I don't understand why that explosion just happened to that poor dog. Is it a dog? I'm not sure. The one who was trying to get the bird. Uh, oh well, let's go back to the Smurfs. There's no hidden messages there.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, it was only when I was older that I was like, oh, this is fucked up. They show this to kids? Damn.
Oh
In the
man.
end, they were Willy Wonkaing all of us with those cartoons. They did it from afar.
Ah.
We didn't have to get sucked up into a tube in the chocolate river. We were all in our own tubes with the TV showing us how bunnies made hunters explode.
But I mean, then then Jim
It
Henson
made them
basically did.
question their sexuality in just huge ways.
Then Jim Henson just did the same thing except with puppets. I mean, there was he was
Yeah, but
blowing
they're
things
very
up and
visibly soft. It's fine. You can see when they get hit with something. This says bong, but like you're like, no, it's soft. It's basically it's a pillow with a hand in it. It's fine. Muppets are fine. Muppets are pure childlike joy,
okay.
unlike Looney Tunes and Willy Wonka. I'm on a roll here. Give me other concepts. I will tell you the objective moral truth of them. I got them all
Um,
covered.
well, I just think what the through line in all this is, comedic violence, but not just like Three Stooges poking in the eye or bonking on the head with your hand. I mean, blowing things up,
Right?
weapons are sometimes involved. So it's next level. It's not really
Wonka.
slapstick. It's next level. It's beyond slapstick, I
It's
think.
next level Wonka.
But people
We
laugh
all
at it
got
like it.
Wonka.
People laugh at it like it is slapstick. So.
Yes, like lunatics, like little scavengers, just mocking the death twitches of their prey. I say prey, but somebody else's prey, but they just see the body there. Yes, and this happens with every Roald Dahl story, and it happens with every Looney Tunes cartoon, but Muppets are fine because they're soft.
So how do you
I
feel about
don't I don't know how you just went to school to be a therapist and none of this is already just
yeah, they don't really cover it. We didn't really have a class on it. So
man, how many clients are you gonna have that have been Wonka without their no you have to
I know
understand this stuff.
I've got to
Wonking
do, you're
happens
right.
all the time.
I've got to look it up in the literature and get educated. Okay. So I never, I don't,
Online university
I was never
bullshit.
actually a fan of slapstick in like theater. Like the Three Stooges, I could never understand why that was
Mm,
funny. I
because it didn't
liked
hurt enough. You needed stuff that had explosions that knocked animals' faces around. Can you imagine the cervical vertebrae? Oh, it's gotta hurt. I want you to picture. I see you're probably picturing it already. That's why you're giggling so much. You picture actual duck,
the
got his
duck.
whole
Yeah.
face
Yeah,
just
that did
slammed
happen.
around,
Yes, right. That happened. It was hilarious.
and he can't even say you're despicable because he's a duck, and he's a duck whose mouth now is not in any way
Clear in,
related to where his
it's
vocal
clear in the
cords
back.
would be.
Right. Right.
You monster!
Did you like the
You're
Three
the
Stooges?
Wonka.
Did
You're
you
the
like the Three
Wonka of the
Stooges
whole
and
thing.
that kind of
I
thing?
did not. This was actually early point of contention with my wife, because she liked them, I didn't.
Mm.
Um, no, I've never been a big slapstick person.
Now, when I was in theater and doing an improv and other things, I did slapstick myself because other people liked it, and I actually
Yeah,
was fairly good at it. I think I don't because I was lanky and tall and stuff, and I could fall down without being hurt. So I did it and got laughs and stuff. But if I knew that if I were in the audience, I wouldn't think what I was doing was funny because I just didn't get into that. I don't know.
I it's a laugh at them, laugh with them thing.
Mm.
I slapstick is ultimately about people hurting themselves, uh, usually physically, if not then emotionally, and I have a hard time laughing at their misfortune.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
that's the way I am too.
it's part of why I have a lot of issues with a lot of British sitcoms because the premise is very frequently our protagonist is kind of a terrible person or has like a major hang up, and the whole thing is them getting comeuppance for their bad attitude or whatever. And again, I'm just like, it's watching them suffer. Just because they brought it on themselves doesn't make it fun for me.
Yeah, I
And
can't
Looney
let.
Tunes, I didn't give a shit about all the violence that you so lusted after. No, the clever wordplay was very much my thing from
Oh yeah, me
early
too.
on,
Me too. Me too.
and the fiendish plans and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I also can't laugh at like someone being embarrassed. Like it's comedic and a person's embarrassed. I can't find that
On
funny for
its
some
face,
reason.
neither can I. There are exceptions, and I have yet to figure out what the pattern is.
Hmm.
But like on paper, I should not like any Arrested Development, and I do. On paper, I should not like any It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and I do. There are other shows very similar to those, and parts in both of those shows that I very much do not like. So I don't know. I don't understand
Well, I
what I
think
like.
so. Like for Warner Bros., like you were saying, the clever wordplay and the scheming stuff. Yeah, that was always one of the things I found funny. I think what I sometimes found funny about the violence was it was sometimes so surprising. Like as a kid, I didn't really see it coming. I mean, I knew it was coming because it was a Warner Bros. Cartoon, but it's like it just always surprised me, and I thought kind of like a Itchy and Scratchy cartoons. Like they take that and they raise it
You
to
were
another
always
level.
like, when are they going to get to the fireworks factory?
Well, I mean, they'll do things and I just don't see them coming, right? Like really creative ways for some terrible thing to happen and it just surprises me and that makes me laugh. And also it's fake. It's super fake, right? If it was super realistic with a person, I wouldn't think it's funny at all because I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't
Yeah,
like
yeah,
gory
yeah.
movies. I don't like slashers. We were just watching Reacher. We watched Reacher season 1 and we're watching Reacher season 2. And when there's a fight scene which aren't super graphic but are graphic enough, neither Abby or I can watch. We just can't even watch it because it's too real.
Yeah.
That's not entertain. It's not in any way entertaining to me if it's realistic. But when it's over the top fake with puppets and cartoon characters, and if it's surprising, like whoever wrote it came up with something really clever to happen, because it's not just that Wile E. Coyote blows up; it's how it happens. It's like he could never have planned to avoid that fate because it was just so stupid how it happened. And I think it's clever how they come up with that stuff.
William just like watching the dog blow up, as he understands.
I also like the whole bit of
She'd
you run
like to
off a
blow up her little brother.
I am entertained by the bit where you run off a cliff and you don't fall until you realize you've run out of
Yes.
cliff.
And that
I
works.
think that's pretty funny. Yeah.
That's real. And I can say that because it's happened to me,
Oh yeah, okay.
but also, how are you going to disprove me? Anybody. Go ahead. See, in this part, I didn't remember gravity was a thing. Yeah, how are you going to prove that to me? Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's good
So,
stuff.
also, if you remember and you fall down, who's going to send me the video? Um, I have no
Yeah.
idea when we started. I think we still got time, but
We do, but we don't have any emails.
sometimes things don't happen to us. Um, and if we don't have any emails, then we don't know what to talk about. I didn't watch nothing. And also, I had a perfectly cromulent holiday, but nothing that jumped out.
I don't think I watched anything either, except
Your family
Christmas.
didn't make you watch any terrible movies?
No, no. Did you ever see Spirited? Did you ever see that musical with Ryan Johnson
No. You mean Ryan Reynolds?
and Ryan Reynolds?
No. Uh, we should watch that. We are still in the midst of Poker Face,
Oh yeah.
and that's still pretty fun. The different guest stars they have on each time are pretty fun. Usually to play the murderers. And we just started this season of Fargo.
Oh, I wanted to
With
watch that. Is it
Juno
good?
Temple as a very well is my wife didn't seem to get to see it. This is season 5 of the Fargo TV show. They've all been different, and I have appreciated all of them in their own way.
Right. Me too.
Uh they follow a formula in terms of viewer experience.
Hmm.
So, first episode, a lot of intriguing ideas. You don't know what a lot of them mean, and you have no idea if they'll follow through on them or not. And then we have a few episodes of backstory and establishment, and then shit goes really crazy, and there's lots of reveals and time jumps and things. And somewhere near the end of the usually 8 to 10 episode season, you start to see what the actual picture is, and it comes together in a very interesting way. So this first episode is a first episode of a season of Fargo.
Yeah, right.
And
Yeah.
it looks good. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people. They seem to be acting well. I have so many questions. I'm sure a decent chunk of them will be answered quite intelligently. So yeah,
Do you think you'll watch is it True Detective they call it? That's also a similar thing.
I won't. I
Okay.
think Trish might.
We'll watch it.
As a
You
little
want
too Fargo and a lot of Coen brothers in general is just surreal enough for me.
gotcha. I
It's
gotcha.
just enough that I'm like, that wouldn't happen because of the weird turn of events and things like that. True Detective feels very real in a way that I don't like.
One thing we didn't watch that I wish we did, and I think we should make part of a Christmas tradition, is that Murder Town with Jason Bateman in it.
Where Santa gets killed? Oh,
So
that would be
good.
good. That would be
I
good.
should have watched that. That's so funny. But I
That
think you'd
is
like
solid.
Spirited. I think you should watch it. I mean, Octavia Spencer's in it. She's
I've been meaning to. I totally forgot about it. I thought we were maybe going to do Candy Cane Lane this year, but we didn't.
yeah, we didn't do that either. I was curious about that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too late or anything. They're still like
Yeah, no,
letting
it's all there. But I'm
you.
also definitely done with the holidays. So
But musicals are kind of the thing in theaters now because I guess Wonka's a sort of a musical and Color Purple's
yeah, kind of.
out. So I don't know if you're interested in seeing Color Purple or you're going to wait on that.
I mean, I'm waiting on everything these days, but
Yeah, I kind of do too. I think I'll watch that.
we shall see.
Sounds like it's really good.
I never saw the original Color Purple,
Yeah, I did back when it was in theaters. I think it was 85. I went and saw it.
so
That
I would
was
have been 8. So that makes sense.
it was very good. I mean, it was,
From
that
what
was
I can gather,
Spielberg's
it's
heyday.
good. But again, it's one of those. I'm not sure there's a reason for me to see it at this point.
Mm. Well, back then,
Kind of like
if
a lot of really good Holocaust movies.
yeah, back then, if Spielberg made it, you went and saw it. And he made other movies like that. It was, he made like E.T. and
Color
stuff.
yellow, the color blue, the color red.
But like Schindler's List and Amistad and things like that. And those are very well made films. But they were rough. I mean, he wanted to show how things really were as much as a person can do that. So they were hard to watch for sure, but they were so well made.
They took us to they bust us to the theater to see Schindler's List.
Really?
I was like a
So
sophomore or junior in high school.
wow, that
I
would be a
really
heavy.
liked it. I've never seen it since. I believe that was sort of I was gonna say that was my last Holocaust movie. That's not true. Jojo Rabbit was my most recent one. But I also feel like that's sort of a different thing. But Schindler's List was when I realized I was like, I think I've got enough
Of that. Yeah,
of data on this. I think I
it's a
get it.
lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, wow, I can't believe it's that long ago. It, yeah,
You're real old.
I know. I know it. Sometimes they'll talk about things like it was a super, super long time ago, right? And it's like and I'm thinking to myself, that was just 1989 or that was just 1992. And then I stop and go, oh yeah, that was a long time ago. Even by
I
my
don't
standards, it was a long time ago, but I just don't think of it that way right away. I just have to stop and go, oh yeah, that was a really long time ago.
We were sitting around the table one time at Sunday dinner, and I forget what we were talking about, but something that we were like, yeah, that's really 80s. I think it was something like one of the kids had or was doing or whatever. Like, it's really 80s. I'm like, is that on purpose? Is it coming around? I don't know. Do they even know? And so we asked the oldest, we're like, what do you think of about the 80s? And she's like, I don't know. We were like, come on, just what comes to mind? We're just guess or whatever. She's like, I can't really remember the little paragraph we had in my book. And everybody's like, what? And I said, she means her history book. She means
Yeah,
her history book's little blurb about the 80s.
just a paragraph. That's it.
Which, to be fair, that's what mine was about Vietnam.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Vietnam War was
yes.
a little paragraph in there, and that was most of what I got. I
Yeah,
have since
that's true.
learned why they did it that way, but
Right, right.
I didn't know the entire 80s was as big of a black mark on US history as the Vietnam War, but
Well,
I've seen some of the fashions.
going back to school has brought me experiences that bring this even more to the fore, right? Because first of all, I'm meeting a lot of people that are half my age because they're they're in their 20s in graduate school. So I get to understand their experience and what they remember and what impacts them directly. But also the textbooks I'm reading were all published within the last 4 or 5 years. And if and they almost all talk about the history of whatever the subject is, like career counseling or addiction or whatever else. And eventually they'll get to the 70s. I was born in 1969, so they'll get to the 70s and the 80s and things that I remember, and I'll see how history is treating those events that I actually lived through and remember. And I'm just like, wow,
And
you
now
know.
they are properly recognizing you as history's greatest monster. All good
Well,
place.
I'm just
There's
saying,
all sorts of photos.
you most
Little
people
young baby William at the grassy knoll.
most people don't um they don't ever get to read the textbooks that their kids are reading. They just hear about it like you did. But in a way, I'm reading some of the textbooks that my kids, if they were in graduate school, would be reading, and I'm seeing what the history writers think about the history that I grew up in. A lot of people don't have that experience. I have, and it's weird. It's really weird to read about. Like, I remember what it was like to think that the 50s and the 40s, 50s, and 60s was a long time ago. I remember what that was like. And it's like I'm experiencing that
To be fair, it is a
vicariously.
long time ago.
No, yeah, it is. It's a long time ago. I totally agree.
Even
Even when I
more
think
so,
about it,
one could argue now.
when I take a second to think about it, I realize, yes, it's a long time ago. But it's weirder to think of, it's easy to think of a long time ago, 1500, you don't even know anybody that lived back then. But when you can remember things that most people are thinking of as, wow, that's ancient history, I don't care about that. That is weird. And I always thought it was weird for older people. I always wondered what it was like for them to be able to remember things that all the younger people were sort of dismissing as
See, you
water under
always
the
struck
bridge.
me as somebody who just remembered things from decades ago, even when you were like 8. Your eyes would
No,
just roll back in your head and you would just intone things from decades earlier.
no,
Um,
I'm not a reincarnated person as far as I know.
I can't remember if I told this one either. I was at a gas station uh a while back, and they were playing music over the thing, and it was some song that I recognized, and then they played another one and I recognized that. And I was sitting here, I was like, oh, these are all like 20 years old. Is that a thing? Is that like what makes gas station music is like what was popular 20 years ago? And then I did some math in my head and I was like, no, it's not like 20 years, it's like 30 years. And I was like, well, crap.
I wanted, I have to mention before we go. So Jazz finds out she's a character in someone's fiction. I thought,
I
so
haven't read that thing yet, but
that
I'm
is so
excited.
perfect. That's like, of course that happened. Of course it happened.
Yeah.
That was so
Jazz, does
funny.
your baby book have like a golden ticket in it or something? Is it like if any, okay, no, I mean, for different reasons, you and Jazz sort of have to fight for who is most likely to turn out to be a changeling from like a different.
existence.
existence.
Yeah, I've
Because
Changeling
it would
definitely.
explain a lot about you. Honestly, I think it's a little too Jazz might be a little too on the nose. Everybody'd like, well, you didn't hide her very well, clearly.
Uh,
But you just look like a run of the mill schmuck, and then
yeah,
it could turn out, yeah.
yeah,
It's
agreed.
just he's just confused all the time. All right. If you'd like to prevent this from happening, write in more. TheMagicalTalkingHat@gmail.com. Whatever. I came up with a brilliant setup for how you should write in, uh, but I've already forgotten it. So come up with your own. Get creative, people. Write us some weird crap. I ain't scared. William's scared, but we like him that way. Uh and go to the blog, themagicaltalkinghat.com. Tell us how you feel about violence in cartoons and how much William may or may not be a sociopath. If you're checking this out on YouTube, obliterate that like button. And
With an anvil that says Acme on it.
yes. 16 turns. Uh and also leave a comment there if you feel like it, whatever. Um and write in and then come back next week. And in the meantime, everybody be safe. Don't get wonka.